The mini leaf plant I bought off of Amazon 6 months ago. So what happened to it? Did some of the people who predicted that the plant would not make it, or some people predicted that the plant will only last about a year, and they did predict that it would get a lot bigger and longer and wouldn't stay as a ground cover? Well, in this video, we are going to see after 6 months exactly what this mini leaf plant does. And all it is thousands of seeds you get for 2 packages for $8 off of Amazon. That's all coming up next. Hello everybody, this is Dr. Nowak. This is the 90-gallon aquarium, one of the aquariums that I put those seeds in, what they call mini leaf seeds. They don't really tell you what the plant is. And you get 2 nice big packages of the seed that, as you can see here, $8.99 for 2 packs, small leaf grass, they call it. But they really don't say what it is. And hydrophilia is what a lot of people said it was, but it seems to take on a different look depending on if you're submergent or emergent, or if it's both. It also depends on the light, I notice. Also is dependent upon CO2. If you give it a lot of CO2, if you give it a little bit of CO2, if you don't give it hardly any CO2. All depends on the plants of how it grows into your aquarium. As you can see in this 90-gallon, I just took the seeds as an experiment, just sprinkled them on top of the flame moss here that you see in the background, and just sprinkle them on there and figured, oh, what the heck, we'll see what happens. Well, some of the seeds took, and they have a different characteristic depending on where the lights are. Now, of course, does the lighting have something to do with it? I'm sure it does. These are my homemade pendant lights that I made. You can buy the pendants off of Amazon. They're either made by Azu or Reptile manufacturer. I know Azu makes them. You can buy them like 2 pendants for $30 or something like that off of Amazon. And these are just homemade GE lights that you can buy in any hardware store, which I've done a video on. And I have them above the tank water. And I like these lights a little bit better than I'm just going to use as an example, such as like the Fluval strip light. And as you can see here, for a 90-gallon aquarium like I got, I would have to spend over $204 for one Fluval strip light. And instead of doing that, I made the canister lights. Now, these are rated at, let's say, 5,500K, 6,000K from Lowe's. These are GE bright lights. Each pendant is about 4,000 lux, to give you an idea how bright they are. More than enough light for the aquarium. They give a bright white light to the aquarium, unlike some of the other lights that I have bought, that Kessel lights, for example. They seem to have a more of a greenish tint to them. And if you try to adjust them, they have more of a blue tint. I don't like that. I like a nice bright white light in my aquarium. But anyway, I regress from that. To get on to with the plants. As you can see, 6 months later, some of the plants are submergent and some of them are emergent, as you can see, and some are both, where they're growing in and out of the aquarium. I think that's kind of neat. Can't beat that for $8. Another thing I noticed with the plant, it's easy to trim, and then you can take your trimming and just put it back in the water or put it in another tank, and you have a free plant. and it will reroot and grow again. So I find that to be quite interesting, which nobody actually made mention that they can grow both submergent and emergent out of your aquarium to give you, well, what you're seeing here. But they do take on a different characteristic depending on not only the light source, but I noticed that how much CO2 you are going to give the particular plant and how fast it will grow, or if it will stay more in a smaller size. Like here, you can see how it's submergent in the aquarium, and yet it seems to be just fine growing in and out of the aquarium without any problems at all. And I kind of like that. If this is something that maybe appeals to you, and this is not planted in any soil or dirt or substrate. Like I said, you can see the white roots coming through. They're actually going through the moss, the flame moss, and they're rooting themselves into that to hold themselves in the aquarium. Okay, here I want to show you some close-ups of the plant. As you can see that it's quite nice, and if you cut it right there at the stem, you can actually replant it in the aquarium and it will grow like I'm showing you here. See, I cut it at the stem here, and you see how it's just regrowing, almost like a blade of grass would grow. But you can cut it and just keep putting it in your aquarium. Actually, if you think about it, if this is the way this plant is, if you had an aquarium for $8, you could just keep cutting it and putting the cuttings into your substrate, and you would constantly have plants. But look at this shot. You see how the plant is very, very thin, the leaves are, the submergent. And if you look beside it, you'll see some of the plant leaves are bigger. So if you look at that, that's a little strange. Not only that, but if you look deep into the aquarium, you will even see some of the leaves are a darker green, and some of them are even red in color, where the pigment now is not just all green, but also red. So if I take you over to the side, here, look at that. It looks like a completely different plant, doesn't it? You wouldn't think it's the same plant, but there the leaves are, super thin compared to when you're looking at the plant from this side. And if you look there at the bottom right, you could see right here at the bottom right, the leaves are darker, and some of them even have a red pigment to them compared to what the rest of the stem of the plant looks like. I thought that was quite interesting that you have emerge and submerge of the same plant. Now I see a little burning of the leaves, and I'm not 100% if that could be the light. It could be the lighting. I could have the lighting a little too close to the aquarium. Maybe it needs to be raised another foot from the aquarium, and those leaves that look a little burnt could be getting too much light. So that kind of tells me that the plant is not a extremely high light plant. It's more, I would say, a moderate light plant. And look at the center there where it's a red leaf. Now, isn't that strange? Where some of the leaves are red and some are green, some are darker green, just depending on the plant. Now, the only fertilizer I use in this aquarium is basically iron. That's it. A lot of people ask me about, oh, what fertilizer I use. Just basically iron. That's all I use. And look at the leaves. Look how different they look. The different darkness. And this is after 6 months of that. Well, one good thing of it is there's not algae all over the leaves and everything. I guess that's what most people would want with the plant. It seems to be doing just fine without even being in a substrate. So now let's take a look at what the plant looks like after 6 months in the antique aquarium. Once again, we're getting a whole different insight to this plant. It's not as green, but I don't add as much iron to this aquarium. But depending on the shade As you can see, some of the leaves are big, some of the leaves are smaller. Some of the plant is being shaded by the moss, and it seemed to be doing okay. And after 6 months, here's what it looks like. You don't see any big, long plant growing out of the aquarium. And this is after 6 months. So I think it depends on your lighting. This is also a homemade lighting, and how much nutrients you are putting in the aquarium. And that also includes iron and CO2. Now, this aquarium does get CO2. However, it doesn't get as much as the bigger aquarium gets. So as I end this video, I just want to show you the mini leaf plant. Really doesn't say what it is, anything else. $8.99. You get 2 packages of it, and there's thousands and thousands of seeds in it. So you can even have trial and error, or you can plant it up in a container, and then, or maybe in a wet aquarium, like a lot of people do. They'll just keep the aquarium wet. I know it will grow that way also. But anyway, I just thought I would make a short little video to let you see this is what the plant has been doing after 6 months. We'll see 6 months from now if the plant is still growing, but I could do cuttings off the plant and take the cutting and put it anywhere I want. I can even take the cuttings and plant it in a different aquarium, which I may be doing. For the goldfish aquarium, once I redo that aquarium, I may be taking cuttings from this plant and doing exactly that. But then I do have a bunch of seeds still left. I have a whole package, in fact, of seeds left. I only used 1 package for the experiment. But I don't know, if you've tried this plant and haven't had success with it, it seems like I'm having okay success. I'm happy with it. I kind of like the look. It makes the aquarium look like it has an island to me, where it's emergent and submergent. And I kind of like that, where the tank now has an island. And like I said, this tank will be 4 years old in March of next year. And in that time, the most I've ever done to it is I've done a water change, and I clean the glass, and that's it. I have not cleaned the substrate. It uses a plenum. It uses a BCB bag inside the canister filter, the F-zone filter. And that's it. Basically, that's it. That's all I've done to it. I cannot have a high maintenance aquarium. I am not a high maintenance aquarium guy. None of my aquariums, the antique aquarium, this one, or any other ones that I have, can be high maintenance. The only reason I change massive changes of water in the goldfish aquarium, that water I use to water the plants, so it doesn't go to waste. I take the aquarium water, I water all the lanai plants, and I put fresh water in. That makes sense. I'm not just watering the plants with fresh new water out of the spigot. I'm using the aquarium water. But with this particular aquarium, this 90-gallon, this is just proof. It's going on 4 years old, be 4 years in March. I looked it up. Never cleaned the substrate. Plants are doing great. The very long plants are some of the crypt that I bought. In the background, of course, there, that bright green on your right-hand side, that's Amazon. Those are sword plants. I've had those now since the tank was made. I have pictures of the tank when it was brand new. I put those in, so those are going to be going on 4 years old. No, they never seem to grow as tall as like maybe an Amazon plant, but they're great. Anyhow, that's it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I wanted to give you an update because people are curious to know, hey, how's it doing?